Hey everybody, welcome back to Home Theater Fanatics. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a stream of consciousness video. And basically what that means is I'm just going to film myself installing some new equipment and I'm going to put it up not so much edited and much more just as it kind of happened. So there'll be some cuts and stuff, but I'm going to talk to the microphone and kind of talk you through what I'm doing. So I've got some cool new power equipment from Shunyata Research, so the Venom line, and I'm going to install their power strip along with, and I'm sure they're like, power strip? No, don't call it a power strip, but it's, you know, it's a big PDU, a power distribution unit, and then a bunch of their actual cables as well in my 2-channel environment. And this will be a good chance to talk about the components in my 2-channel environment as well. So let's go ahead and jump right in to all that action, like right over there. It's going to be cool. All right, let's talk through stuff so you can kind of understand what's going on here. And this is super tight, so it's going to be hard to get these shots, but let's start with this top shelf of gear. So this is kind of what I consider to be network central and gaming central and streaming central. On this shelf there, so let me get my hand in there, 3 components that require power. The new Xbox Series X, a old Netgear 1 gig switch, and then there's a Nvidia Shield hiding amongst all these cables back here. These 2 devices, the Xbox and the Nvidia Shield, they use the power adapters that kind of look like a infinity symbol or a number 8. And those things are called C7s. Let me see, can you see that? Can you see? Yeah, there's a C7, right? So, and they just plug right in. I've got these dangling off the side now before we plug them in for power. Here's the end. Hey, look, it comes with a little, cool little, is it gonna focus? There we go. These little things that look, pull it off. Man, never used before. Cool, huh, right? But the switch uses a wall wart. And you know, at this point, there's not a lot I can do about that. So we're gonna wall wart it up with that guy. But the top shelf has 3 power leads coming out that we will kind of zip tie off to the side here. If you can see there, right here. And we'll hang off on the side for now as we go down and talk through the second shelf. Now, just also, this Nvidia Shield, I use this to stream television and a little bit of music, but we'll talk more about music in a bit. And obviously, the Xbox Series X is for hardcore gaming because it's the best platform, right? Right. Now we're down to shelf 2. And on the shelf, we've got a Denon AVR. I don't use any of the amplification here, but I do use this for the HDMI capabilities. Now, this is a 2-channel system, but I'm feeding it multi-channel inputs, and I need to be able to select between different HDMI devices. So really, this is kind of a glorified HDMI switcher at this point. I would love to replace this with a more, air quotes, audiophile device that has XLRs instead of these RCAs, because as you can see, all I'm using is the left and right out. But for today, this is what I have. But if anybody has an idea of another device that I could replace this with that does HDMI and has, I don't know, 2 or 3 inputs at least, and then 1 output, and that has XLRs, and it only needs to be 5-channel. I mean, I'm not really using surround sound in here. The idea is this is 2-channel, but I want something that sounds really good. So if you have any suggestions, leave that down in the comments because I would love to replace this. Now, for power, we're going to use the Venom High Current, the HC, right? And if you look on the box, this is the V2 C15 US. I hope you can see that well enough. And then when we pull this out, it's pretty sweet. They come packaged in plastic, and they're very nice. Let's see if I can get this thing open, and I'll show you the ends on it. All right, so these are molded plastic. They are super beefy, so you know it's like the size of my finger. It's thick cabling, which I really appreciate. 3-prong, and on the other end, you've got your standard connector, and it's got the little divot in the top. This kind of makes it a little more universal when you have this here. It'll plug into more options, but it works just as well with plugs that are designed for the filled-in version of this as well. But we're gonna go ahead and plug this in and get this ready. Now, what I wanna do is pretty much take power from this side and drag it across to this side, and I'll tie it down and bring it down, and I'll attach it to these power cables. So let's see if we can get that going. Man, this is tight. And just as a point of fact, this is what happens when your cables are too long. So yeah, I need to come up with like 3-foot HDMI cables to get from basically just right above my finger to here. These are like 6 foot and they're just way too long. But they'll do for now. All right, we'll jam this guy in here. I think, yes. Pretty snug fit. Yeah, that's in there pretty good. And then I'm gonna zip tie this off here on the end. Now this is a good comparison. So you can see the difference in the thickness of their high current cable versus what they call their digital cable. So this is for streaming devices and other things that really don't generate any electricity or have a big pull. But you can see this is much thicker. So pretty cool. So like I said, Venom HC, it's actually imprinted here if you can see that. I don't think you can though. And then V14 C7s. And then once again, just to take a look at the difference of the ends. Obviously, the C7s are not grounded and these high currents are. Now we're down to the third shelf, and this is a little bit harder to see, and there's a lot of cables going on down here, so it's hugely messy until I get cables of the right length, but I think this is a struggle that everybody goes through. Down here, this is where 2-channel world starts, right? So we were all digital above, going into that AVR, and then from the AVR, we go into this RCA cable, which I'm then converting into XLR inputs into this Schiit Freya Plus. And this thing is awesome. It's got 3 different input stages that you can use, one of which is a tube stage, and it sounds amazing. I'm gonna have a full video on this, but this is kind of first sneak peek. But this is really where everything converges. So all of my pure analog sources that are coming in, come into here, and then everything that filters through the AVR goes into here too. And then you get that sweet tube sound out of the Freya, which I just absolutely love. Now on the Freya, I'm gonna use another one of the V14s. Let me see if I can get this here for you. This is the V14 C13 plug. This, obviously isn't an amplifier, so it's not really high current. It's just a preamp. So I'm gonna use the not super high current cable for this guy. And let's go ahead and get him going. All right, now just a quick look at the ends on this, this V14. Hope that's focusing well enough. All right, now let's go ahead and pump this guy in. Again, I want to try and bring it across the bottom. So I'm going to run it under all of these cables. Plug in there. Now, on this shelf, in addition to the Freya, you can't really see it from this angle, but I also have a topping E30 DAC and a Raspberry Pi streamer. Now those, I'm not really going to be doing any power upgrades on at this point, but one day I'll figure that out and do something there too. But for today, they're going to stick with their old power cabling. All right, I think that's reasonable enough for now. Looks good. All right, now we're down to the bottom shelf, and I've got a Acurus M8 amplifier down here. This is traditionally used in home theater applications. It's an 8-channel amplifier. However, if you have some baller speakers that you want to bi-amp in a 2-channel environment, you can bridge this thing down to 4 channels and then bi-amp with those 4 channels into 2 speakers and just have some monster output. So this thing's pretty cool. It's a Class D, but when it's warmed up by that Freya a little bit above it up here, right there, it sounds super great. Obviously my XLR cables are super duper too long, just like everything else, but like I've said, that's what we're dealing with. Now this guy, he is getting another high current cable. So he's getting one of this one, yes, this beast. So just like the AVR above him, he's getting a nice big fat cable. So let's go ahead and see if we can put this in and get it going. I'm going to run this under everything else because I don't really want this to sit and weigh on the rest of the cables. That's tight. All right, there we go. And I don't think I'm going to attempt to zip tie this one on to the post, but maybe I can pull it across like this and zip tie all of these together. That seems like it'll work pretty good. All right, so now we've got cabling on all this stuff that's fairly reasonable in appearance. It's a mess, but you know, it's gonna be a mess until I can clean up the rest of the cables. So I think we can go ahead and shift this around and then plug everything into the power strip. Now, I haven't shown that to you yet, so let me pull this off the tripod here, go a little handheld with you. So right down here on the side, we've got this Venom strip, and this thing is gorgeous. I mean, it's hard to tell, but it is humongous. And this is the Venom PS8, it is just beautiful. I mean, it is an awesome piece of equipment. I think I'll need another PS8 at some point, maybe to cover all of the different devices I have in here, because I need a few more than 8 plugs to get everything done, but that's okay. And just a quick look out across the way, it's gonna be dark, there's no lights over here, but I've got a SVS subwoofer, a projector, and then way over there, if it can focus, I don't think you can, I've got another sub. So those devices also need power. But I'm gonna go ahead now and I'm gonna take this rack, I'm gonna spin it, and then we'll come back and plug everything up into this power distribution unit. Okay, we've got the rack turned around in its mostly final position. Now I'm gonna try and connect all of the power cords that I have loose into the PDU. Now there are gonna be some cables that I just don't have enough ports for, so I'll have to use some alternative power distribution for that. But I'm gonna go ahead and fill this guy up as much as I can and try and keep it neat, but we'll see how it turns out. That is most everything except for one of my DACs and the streamer, and the actual projection screen is not going to be plugged into this guy. So I almost got everything, but that's a general idea. Let me finish plugging in everything on the far side, and then we'll do a quick overview of the rack. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching my stream of consciousness, and you can kind of see how the rack is looking right now. Look at all that Shunyata down there. Holy crap, that's, I love it. I don't know if folks like that kind of thing, but man, I love to see those big beefy power cables. Oh, it's just gorgeous. Need to clean it up a little bit and I'll figure that out. But for now, I think it's gonna be all right. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.